maybe this is hard to do on the spot. Could you like maybe summarize those? Like, what are like, I guess, 5 elements or 3 key elements that you need your song to have in order for it to be objectively good?
Yeah.
So you mentioned the lyrics need to be able to stand on their own.
Lyrics is the first thing for sure. Lyrics standing on their own, I think, is an important measurement of whether whether your lyrics are good. I think too.
So then, if you don't have lyrics and it's just an instrumental song, would the melody just replace the lyrics in that?
No, I think all of a sudden the criteria totally changes.
So I might even go so far as to say,
yeah, the way that you would measure like a Bach piece and the way that you would measure a song that's songwritten by the Beatles or Taylor Swift or the Goo Goo Dolls or whoever, I think they're just different media. In the same way that you wouldn't judge a play the same way you would judge a movie. There's just different elements at play. But yeah, on the lyrical side, I think that's an important thing. A lot of people will say, "Oh, lyrics don't matter." It's like, of course they matter. That's literally the story of your song. If your lyrics don't make any sense, they don't tell a cohesive story, then why should anybody care about the song? And if you don't think lyrics matter, then don't write lyrics, right? But the fact that you wrote lyrics and then, the way you mix it, you know this, but the way you mix a song, the vocals are right up the center. They're the loudest part. They are the focal point, whether you like it or not. They're the focal point. If you write lyrics, the lyrics is going to be paired with the melody, and it is going to be the focal point. So you can't say that's not important. That's like having like a fantasy book where the whole thing is about this new fantasy world they built, and then you're like, oh, it's not about the fantasy world and how good the fantasy world is. Like it's the main selling point of the book. Of course, it's important. So lyrics, I think, are a big thing. I think to me, I guess this answer is turning into different ways to test if to me you're getting towards a good song. But to me, if you just listen to the music, if you don't have lyrics in it yet, or you don't listen to it with lyrics yet, you just hum your melody and you play your chord progression or your piano part or whatever it might be. Does it sound like what the song is about? So could somebody sort of guess like, oh, this song feels like it's wistful for someone that you've lost? And that's pretty precise. So I wouldn't necessarily ask for that much precision, but maybe a little more precise too than like, oh, this sounds happy, this sounds sad. But going as far as something like this sounds wistful or this sounds bitter, which are more precise than happy or sad, for instance. To me, that's a good sign that you're probably on a good path, because then it goes back to the whole, do your lyrics, your chord progression, and your melody all work together towards the same goal? So I guess that's 2 things so far. I don't know if I can agree more, but an interesting melody of course is one. I as much as I'm a lyrics guy, I do think your song lives and dies by your melody in the same way that your song lives and dies by a chorus if it has one. If your chorus sucks, nobody's going to care about your song, and if your melody sucks, nobody's going to care about your song. I have a video coming out, or maybe already out, depending on when this comes out, where I break down what makes My Heart Will Go On such a great melody and what we can learn about melody from that. And, there is no like one way to write a good melody, just as there's no one way to anything creative. There's never one way. And I think a lot of times people look for that, but that answer just doesn't exist. But that melody does a lot of things that help make it a great melody. For instance, it utilizes the leading tone a lot. If you don't know what the leading tone is, basically in any key, whatever the 7th scale degree is. So in C major, a B. In G major, and F sharp. And this is a part of why a 5 chord wants to resolve to 1 chord, really, which some of you probably like, what on earth are those things? Don't worry about it. But basically, it's a note that really desperately wants to resolve to the tonic, which is the home center of gravity of your song. So if you hear the end of a song where it feels like, boom, this is resolved, that's usually because it went to the tonic chord, the 1 chord. So in C major, it went to a C major chord, and G major went to a G major chord, etc. But a leading tone is just the tone that's 1/2 step right below that. So the verse, even though it looks like it would be kind of boring when you look at it, it basically half of the verse melody is tonic, 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 leading tone, tonic, which helps create a ton of tension, which I think is a big part of a great song, is that tension and release. if it's all one thing the whole time, if there's no tension, if there's no dissonance sometimes, probably isn't going to be very interesting and isn't therefore going to be very good. But anyway, that song does a lot of things great for melodies. Another thing is, and I don't think this is necessary. This is it depends kind of situation, but for a lot of songs, they don't go anywhere. And that works in certain genres, right? If you're trying to be James Taylor, then, you know, having a melody that kind of just sits in one comfortable range, I think works really well for sort of the folk type sound. But if you're trying to write a rock song and you have everything within like a fifth, it's just probably not going to be that interesting. A large part of the reason that My Heart Will Go On melts your brain, and you know, let's not all pretend like we don't get goosebumps in that last chorus, right? If you're human, you get goosebumps, whether you want to admit that you like a Celine Dion song or not. And a part of it is just like there's a massive leap of an octave. She goes up by an octave from one note to the next, and it's a high note, and high notes are always going to be more exciting. So there's so many different little things that go into, I think, a great song, or say a great melody, which is sort of what I'm diving into very briefly here. But it's all to me about this keeping people interested, the tension of like you give them surprises you don't always resolve when they want something resolved. It's like a TV show, right? If at the end of the episode it always goes the same way, you'd be like, that's a crap show, right? There needs to be some surprise. But then also, if the whole thing is about subverting expectations, Ryan Johnson, then it also sucks, right? Because it's like, well, the reason that Luke Skywalker becoming a bum and not acting like Luke Skywalker subverted our expectations is not because it's good and interesting and compelling. It's because it literally doesn't make sense. It's not the same character. So everybody here's like, I think he likes old.
Yeah, you go to a 5-star restaurant and they serve you dog food. Hey, yeah. That's a surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
Good job.
Yeah, so you know, a lot goes into it, and just to be clear, this isn't a like I think I write objectively good songs. It's more a thing to aim for, right? That we are aiming for trying to write a good song, and we're not concerned about, you know, how do I, you know, make the audience like it? How do I make a popular song? Concentrate on making something that is good. And we're all going to define it a little differently, right? Depending on your genre of music, it might be different. Depending on what you're going for as a songwriter, it's going to be different. But go for something that, you know, would touch you and would make you invested in the song. You know, make the music you like. And then also try to get objectively better at it. Objective is such a difficult word because, again, it's one of those things where like I think there is an objective truth, but in this case, I don't think anybody has a way to measure the objective truth. So it's kind of a weird underlying philosophy, I guess. That's basically like, hey, I and nobody can define what a good song is, but I do believe there is an objective truth of what a good song is out there. But it's the type of thing that only God knows the answer to that. And all we can hope to do is sort of try to find it.
Right.
And again, I think we all know, even though it's hard to define, right? We all know that there is an objective reality. Back to the example of the, you know, if my daughter used crayon on it is objectively worse. And we all know it's objectively worse than the Sistine Chapel. So therefore it can't all be objective or it can't all be subjective. So that means there is objectivity in there. And just having that in mind so that we can try to pursue what we think is objectively good is more important than what I think is objectively good or not.
Hey, if you want more help producing professional quality music from home or finishing more music faster, then be sure to grab my rapid song finishing checklist in the description below, or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/mixing checklist. Inside, you'll discover the proven step-by-step mixing system for creating radio-worthy music from home. You'll discover this one crucial step that you need to do before mixing to get high-quality mixes. You'll learn a proven step-by-step mixing order, so you'll know what to do first, second, and third, so you're not caught chasing your tail and constantly remixing and maybe making things sound worse over time. and you'll discover how to quickly master your music for consistent radio-worthy results every time. Again, this is all inside of a free guide you can get in the description below, or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/mixing checklist. That being said, if you want some more awesome music production tips and tricks, then be sure to click the video on the screen right now. That'll take you to another great video to help you make better music. With that, have an awesome day and keep creating.